Welcome to another edition of the Willie Bragg Show. I'm your host, Willie Bragg, and I hope each and every one of you are doing well today. Um, we're going to talk about JD Vance and what I like to call buyer's remorse, because I think that there is some buyer's remorse with regard to to Donald Trump choosing JD Vance. So, and the thing about it is that we have an election coming up, and right now, with the what looks like is going to be a Kamala Harris, Donald Trump race going on. And I say what when I say what it looks like, because the Democratic convention is just a few short weeks away. I work graveyard shift. Wasn't able to really cover the convention, but I decided I'm going to make it a point to try to. Now that I will be on vacation week, I'll be on vacation that week. I'm going to try to cover the convention. So I will be commenting on that, especially since the convention is taking place in Chicago, the Democratic convention, that is. So we'll start by talking about the about this choice of JD Vance, and what I call buyer's remorse, because I really kind of do believe he has buyer's remorse, because his instinct was to go with the governor of North Dakota, and that was the governor referring to Doug Burgum of North Dakota, who would be perceived as some kind of a moderate in the Trump administration. He would be perceived as a moderate, as much as somebody can define a moderate within the confines of the Republican Party in the year 2024. But he chose JD Vance, who is kind of a flake, and has said some things that Donald Trump may be able to get away with in his unique way, being who he is, but being a loose cannon having a loose cannon as your running mate is probably not the best decision to be had made. And listening to Tucker Carlson, which I'm kind of surprised, I'm not surprised that Donald Trump's sons were recommending JD Vance. I mean, they're idiots. I'm a little surprised that Tucker Carlson was urging Trump to do this, unless it's true what they said about Tucker Carlson deeply hating Trump and wanting Trump to lose, because JD Vance is an anchor. He's an albatross. I mean, the guy is, and he is an opportunist. Thank you, Miguel. He is an opportunist. And he's really one of the worst kinds of Republicans that I find despicable today. The 2016 Never Trumper Republican who became an extremely insufferable pro-Trump cocksucker. They are the most insufferable people around, because they hated Trump in 2016 because Trump was really, in their eyes, possibly liberal. And they loved Trump later on because he turned out to be more conservative than they thought he would be. They're the most insufferable people. And I told people, never trust a never Trumper. I will never, ever be in alliance with a never Trumper, because never Trumpers are usually to the right of Trump. And that's what people, liberals, fail to realize. I'll give you an example. When Jimmy Dore said this years ago, whatever people in my audience may think of Jimmy Dore, this is what Jimmy Dore said years ago, and I think he's correct. What was it, 2018, 2019, when I think it was in 2018, George W. Bush said, yeah, there was interference in the election, Russian interference in the elections. Well, personally, if you really look objectively, if you really want to look at the interference that there is in the election, you look at Benjamin Netanyahu, speaking in joint sessions of Congress last week. That's where your that's where your interference is coming from more than it's coming from Russia. But needless to say, what I'm trying to say is that with regard to the George W. Bush, what happened? They embraced him. And Jimmy Dore said that these liberals, they hated Ralph Nader because he supposedly gave us George W. Bush. Now, the liberals love George W. Bush, and they still managed to hate Ralph Nader. And you got Michelle Obama hugging on George W. Bush. So, I mean, this is where we're at in this country. So, the liberals, the liberals end up adopting a lot of things that the Republicans will throw at you. I mean, Project 25, Tim Black, I saw a tweet from Tim Black saying that, he was basically dismissing Project 25, and in a way that, it's nothing new under the sun, basically what he was saying. I don't have the tweet on me, but he was basically saying it's not really as big a deal as some of the skies falling liberals who claims that Trump is apparently going to be like the next Hitler or what have you. It's nothing to fear. It's you don't want it, but it's nothing to fear. And I responded to the effects of how much I agree with what he just said, because look at Obamacare. It was dredged up by the Heritage Foundation. They're the ones that came up with the idea. Here's an idea to solve the healthcare crisis. Force everybody to buy private health insurance, even though they can't afford it. That was the Heritage Foundation plan. It got implemented in Massachusetts and became called Romney Care. And then instead of Obama listening to Bernie Sanders or listening to Physicians for a National Health Program or what have you, or listening to DSA on their recommendations on what to do for healthcare reform, no. He went to the Heritage Foundation plan and said, hey, this is what we have to offer. And the pussified Democratic Party, being the opportunists that they are, always has been, especially since the Bill Clinton years, they went and adopted that particular approach. And because they adopted that particular approach, this is what you have for Democrats. They end up adopting all the shit that the Republicans will bring. All the awful stuff that Republicans bring forward to you, in 15, 20 years, Democrats end up embracing it. That's how garbage that the Democratic Party is. Which means if the Democratic Party's garbage because of that, that means the Republican Party is still garbage. So I don't want to make it sound like I'm defending Republicans saying this. The Republican Party is obviously worse, but the Democratic Party eventually embraces this shit. So anyway, my point is JD Vance is toxic. He's an albatross. And I do believe that Donald Trump's got buyer's remorse because of this. And so, I'm going to go and share this story here, because it was presumably a rumor, but we don't know for sure. And so it's from Rolling Stones, and it's funny. Well, I found this out last night. So it's called "So What," with this rumor that JD Vance has sex with a couch. Yes, there's a rumor floating around that JD Vance has sex with a couch. The viral allegation that Trump's VP pick wrote about pleasuring himself between two couch cushions is funny but false, by Nikki, McCann, Ramirez. And let's see what we got here. Vice presidential hopeful JD Vance would like to be having a brat summer, but he is instead facing accusations of pushing the cushions of an unfortunate sofa. Yuck. Social media has been inundated with jokes and memes suggesting that Vance once pleasured himself between two couch cushions. What goes on between a man and his couch is between him, God, and whatever sexy sectional he chooses to victimize. While he can't definitively state that Donald Trump's ringmate has never engaged in some furniture fornication, the viral allegation that Vance wrote having sex with a couch in his 2016 memoir, Hillbilly Elegy, is false. On July 15th, the day Ohio senator was confirmed as Trump's 2024 running mate. Twitter, I refuse to call it X, by the way. Fuck Elon Musk. User Ricky Rude Calves wrote that they can't say for sure, but Vance might be the first VP pick to have admitted in the New York Times bestseller to fucking an inside out of latex glove shove between two couch cushions. Vance Hillbilly Elegy, 179 to 181 in its pages 179 to 181. While Vance's memoirs contain plenty of gross generalizations about blue-collar working-class Appalachians, he did not actually describe the sexual tryst with a helpless piece of upholstery. Regardless, the claim took off with a vengeance. Richard Hanania from Twitter says, he said, "We got to inform you that the left means are getting good." And so let's see let's watch on X. Let's see what there might be a copyright with music. So I'm gonna have to forego that there. But you can see here, let's see, I smoked JD Vance's couch, and apparently there's like references there to JD Vance and his couch, that sort of thing. The things escalated on Thursday when the Associated Press posted, then deleted an article fact-checking allegation. The piece was heralded. No, JD Vance did not have sex with a couch. A spokesperson for the AP told Sun 4 that the story has been retracted because it hadn't gone through the standard of editing process at the wire service, and that the Associated Press was investigating how it made it to the publication. While the couch sex debacle is silly, it's not helping Vance recover from a series of early campaign stumbles. Earlier this week, the senator was widely mocked for awkwardly joking that Democrats will accuse anything of being racist. I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday and one today, and I'm sure that they're going to call that racist too, he said at a rally on Monday. Well, I'm not going to. Well, they have called Bernie Sanders a racist. You even have Bosch calling Breonna Joy Gray, believe it or not, a white nationalist. So I'm not going to really fault him too much on that. But usually people on the right, corporate Democrats, doing this, weaponizing identity politics. But Republicans weaponize it to their own ends too. The cringy attempt at humor has also found its way to the couch-related content. And there's some Mountain Dew there. Let's see. Vance also widely criticized after 2021 interview with Tucker Carlson, in which he attacked Kamala Harris as a miserable cat lady who lacks biological children, made her unfit to serve for an elected office. Vance past comments about abortion and Trump also have been widely circulated. And we know about that and everything. The comments about Harris in particular were met with widespread backlash by voters, commentators, and social media users who not only point out that Harris has 2 stepchildren, but that attacking childless Americans, whatever their reasons for not reproducing, as inferior or imperialist message for a party already struggling with the issues for reproductive rights and freedoms. And then it kind of fades in, so you'll have to check out the article later on fully. And what I can do is I can go and post the article here inside the description box once the video is over. So I'll be able to do that. If I don't do that right away, I'll do that by sometime tomorrow morning. So there we have it. So yeah, when you think about JD Vance sort of having his way with with cloth, inanimate objects. I don't want people thinking, when I bought my shoe on head, plushie, that I was sitting there having sex with shoe on head plushie. I really wasn't. Was I, Jim? No, I wasn't. But anyhow, anyway, but the point I was trying to say is that he's just an all-around bad choice, really, honestly. So what I'm going to also do is I'm going to play a video from Kim Iversen I saw yesterday. And I heard her take on this, and I was like, you know what? She's got a point. I might share this with y'all and share my additional take on it. I largely agree with her. Mostly, there's maybe a point where I may not fully see what she's saying, but largely in principle, I agree with what she has to say. So let me go ahead and put that playback speed on 1.25, and we'll get underway. Take it away, Kim. There is a commercial here, it looks like, and I have an ad blocker, so I don't know. Okay, it skipped it.
Speaking of somebody being off and the person ended up being president, JD Vance is the slated heir to Trump if something were to happen to Trump and if Trump becomes president of the United States. But some are saying JD Vance is too weird, and now Donald Trump has to really think about whether or not he wants to replace him. This is the Newsweek article. Donald Trump has about 10 days to replace JD Vance, according to Chuck Schumer. Why would they want to replace JD Vance? Let's hear from Chuck Schumer himself exactly what the issue is. Watch this.
Let me just say one thing. Just compare that to the Republican record, to the Trump Vance ticket. It's extreme. This Project 2025 shows it would take the rights away from women. It would take away rights of working people and help only the very wealthy. It would even be a threat to our democracy. And one more point about this, and that is the addition of JD Vance to this ticket. It's incredibly bad choice. I think Donald Trump, I know him, and he's probably sitting and watching the TV. And every day, Vance, it comes out, Vance has done something more extreme, more weird, more erratic. Vance seems to be more erratic and more extreme than President Trump. And I'll bet President Trump is sitting there scratching his head and wondering, why did I pick this guy? The choice may be one of the best things he ever did for Democrats.
What do you mean?
Now,
and I think that Chuck Schumer is largely correct. But, I think that he also, he's being too, I would be careful with anything that Chuck Schumer has to say, because, he is a disingenuous prick himself. But everything he said was, largely correct. That Donald Trump is probably sitting around thinking, what the fuck did I just do? Because, that's another thing that's a little out of character about choosing JD Vance, because he's so boisterous, and Trump wants a little bitch in the background, somebody who will stay submissive and quiet. And so that's a little bit out of character. It would have been totally in character to choose Doug Burnham, because Doug Burnham would have been quiet in the background. Tim Scott would have been quiet in the background, someone like that. If Governor Christine Nome of South Dakota didn't go around, shooting her dog, she'd have been quiet in the background. Granted, she's not going around shooting animals, but anyway, point I'm trying to make is that he's got buyer's remorse. So I hate to agree with Chuck Schumer, because Chuck Schumer is an asshole. but he's largely correct there.
Now, the president has about 10 days before the Ohio ballot is locked in, and he has a choice. Does he keep Vance on the ticket, where he already has a whole lot of baggage? He's probably going to be more baggage over the weeks because we'll hear more things about him. Or does he pick someone new? It's his choice.
I have my theory as to why they're going after JD Vance and calling him so weird at the moment. And even Republicans, there's Republicans out there who are like, I don't know if we like this guy. Can you maybe replace him with somebody else? Why are they calling him this? What are the comments that he's made that say that make him so weird? Here is an old clip when Tucker Carlson was on Fox News. JD Vance was interviewed, and he says, the country's being run, or Democrats are being run by childless cat ladies who are miserable, trying to make the whole country miserable just like them. Here he is.
Saying is that we're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and so they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. And it's just a basic fact. You look at Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, the entire future of the Democrats is controlled by people without children. And how does it?
Now, why did he go out of his way to infer that Pete Buttigieg is a cat lady? I mean, that's basically, it was a little subtle homophobia right there coming from JD Vance. There's a legitimate criticism that could be made against Pete Buttigieg. He's full of shit. He's all fluff and nothing else. You know, he's an empty suit. There's all kinds of things. He cheated against Bernie Sanders in Iowa. There's all kinds of things you could say. He's not childless. He and his husband's got a son. I mean, adopted, obviously, but why you included him on a list of a bunch of women? You know, I mean, I just like to know about that. That's kind of crazy, you know. And even with the women who chose not to have children, what the fuck business is it of yours, JD Vance? And with Kamala Harris, I'm no defender of Kamala Harris, but she's not exactly childless either. She's a stepmom. She raises two daughters, so her stepdaughters. So I don't know what the hell you are getting at.
Does it make any sense that we've turned our country over to people who don't really have a direct stake in it?
Okay, that's not the only thing he has said. Now, granted, this was before he started campaigning as vice president. This is while he is a candidate for office. He is campaigning, but this was not for vice president. But this is really similar to a basket of deplorables style comment. There are plenty of Republican women who are also childless. To go after childless people is it's just distasteful. I understand his point. I don't disagree with his point that I do believe that people with children have more of a natural stake in the future of the country when they're well and dead. Right? When people without children are dead, they don't have children to worry about or grandchildren to worry about or thinking about that future. So there is, I think, truth to that statement. But
okay, and that is a fair point too, because I don't have children. Don't want children really in my life. It's just fatherhood. It's just never been for me. I'm not knocking down those who wants to be a parent. If you want to have kids, fine. But I kind of look at it this way that, I'm thinking about, I'm retiring in a couple of years. And I'm thinking in terms of, I'm not even thinking in terms of who gets all my stuff when I go as of yet or anything like that. And I probably should be thinking about those things and all that. But at this point, it's kind of like, otherwise, I really don't care about a lot of stuff in that regard, as opposed to somebody who has kids or grandkids or great grandkids who gets my stuff and my legacy and all of that. My gene pool stops with me. So in that regard, I see where Kim is coming from more so than I do JD Vance. JD Vance is doing it just to be a partisan shit. Kim Iversen, she's doing it because she really thinks about these things. Even if I disagree with Kim Iversen occasionally, her heart's coming from a good place, I feel like. So there's that.
I also think it's a statement you shouldn't maybe make when you're trying to campaign and there's a lot of women who are also Republican who don't have children. And it's a very basket of deplorable style comment. That's not the only time he has said it. Here is a montage of other times he has said very similar things. An attack on childless people. Here it is.
Not just childless cat ladies. Turns out there are many more ways Trump's running mate has described people without children. The word sociopath used a lot.
Brand new this morning, more than childless cat ladies, way more. New reporting from CNN's K-File this morning on Republican vice presidential nominee JD Vance. The controversial comments he made questioning the judgment of people without children, they were not a one-off. In May of 2019, he told a crowd, quote, "Babies are good because we're not sociopaths."
I've seen people who become more attached to their communities, to their families, to their country because they have children. So I would say that we should care about declining fertility, not just because it's bad for our economy, but because we think babies are good. And we think babies are good because we're not sociopaths.
Then in November of 2020, during a podcast appearance, he said this.
There's just these basic cadences of life that I think are really powerful and really, really valuable when you have kids in your life. And the fact that so many people, especially in America's leadership class, just don't have that in their lives, you know, I worry that it makes people more sociopathic and ultimately our whole country a little bit less less mentally stable. And of course, you talk about going on Twitter. Final point I'll make is you go on Twitter and almost always the people who are most deranged and most psychotic are people who don't have kids at home.
In August of 2021, in a fundraising email, CNN found he appealed to donors by mentioning the, quote, radical childless leaders in this country. And then he tweeted in 2021, quote, cat ladies must be stopped.
Okay. He then goes and defends himself now on Megyn Kelly's show. Let's see what he has to say for himself.
I know the media wants to attack me and wants me to back down on this, Megyn, but the simple point that I made is that having children, becoming a father, becoming a mother, I really do think it changes your perspective in a pretty profound way. This is something, of course, we've recognized for hundreds of years in this country that human civilization has always recognized. But there's a deeper point here, Megyn. It's not a criticism of people who don't have children. I explicitly said in my remarks, despite the fact that media has lied about this, that this is not about criticizing people who, for various reasons, didn't have kids. This is about criticizing the Democratic Party for becoming anti-family and anti-child. We have to ask ourselves, Megyn.
The fact that there's plenty to criticize the Democratic Party on, but you just admitted that this is why you're doing it, to make a baseless attack on the party, to call them anti-family. When Republicans have plenty to be anti-family about, because you sit there and you bitch about the unborn babies, but once they're born, fuck them. Don't give a damn about them. You can throw them in the trash can at that point. I mean, really, honestly, that's how y'all feel. It's a woman's fault. Fuck their welfare attitude. Oh God, people make me sick.
Again, why do we have masking of toddlers years after the pandemic ended? Why do we have the Harris campaign coming out this very morning, Megyn, and saying that we should not have the child tax credit, which lowers tax rates for parents of young children? It's because they have become anti-family and anti-kid. And I'm proud to stand up for parents. And I hope that parents out there recognize that I'm a guy who wants to fight for you. I want to fight for your interests. I want to fight for your stake in the country. And that is what this is fundamentally about. The Democrats in the past 5-10 years, Megyn, they have become anti-family. It's built into their policy. It's built into the way they talk about parents and children. And it's time that we call that out. I don't think we should back down from it, Megyn. I think we should be honest about the problem.
Both parties are by that definition, both parties are anti-family. Both parties are opposed to universal health care, they're being anti-family. If they're opposed to universal basic income, they're being anti-family. If they are supporting trade policies, which takes away manufacturing jobs and sell them into places where there's cheaper labor and strip economic opportunities away from people here in the United States, such as what happened during the early days of Reagan, called deindustrialization, where the Rust Belt states were having their factories closing down and being sent elsewhere before it became a thing nationally. That sort of thing is anti-family. It's anti-communitarian in a lot of ways. It destroyed a lot of communities. What they did. And it ended up getting adopted by both parties. So don't be high-minded and morally superior, JD Vance. You endorse those very policies yourself.
I agree to some. So first of all, I think he gave a good response there. All of his past comments that were weird, as people are calling them, I wouldn't categorize them as weird per se, but his past comments, I think, were a bit cruel for those who don't have children, especially when you don't know why. There's this idea that women are choosing not to have kids because they just want to go out there and party and have a great time, and they don't care about children. They're sociopaths. And
I'm all for if somebody don't have kids because they want to party and have sex all the time and do whatever the hell they want and be libertine and free spirited. I'm all for that too. I am all for that. And for those that don't have kids and they tried but they can't have kids, I'm sorry for their situation. But, the party of small government, Republicans, they're not the party of small governments. They're like, God damn it, you're going to have kids. Where we, I mean, they want to make it so that they want to make sure you don't have just 2.2 kids. They want to make sure they want to make sure you shit out like 5 or 6 children in your life to inconvenience your life and keep your wages low and just basically have bosses at plants and factories and firms and whatever type of job, service sector jobs out there to be at their mercy. No, fuck these people when they do this sort of thing and argue it from their angle.
They just care about living their free sex-filled lives or something along those lines. And that is just not the case for a lot of women who don't have children, myself included. I don't have kids. It's not for a lack of trying. There's just reasons why people can't or don't have kids. So I think it's a very cold thing to go after people who don't have children when they are still part of the voting base. There's no law that says if you don't have kids, you can't vote. Although there is a very fringe subset of people in this country who believe that should be the case, that people without children should, kind of like landowners. Only landowners can vote because they have a stake in this country. And that is very much sort of the Senate that he's sharing here. Only people with kids have a stake in this country. So they're real human beings and everybody else is 3/5 a person, right? That's what that sounds like to a lot of voters. And it's a big turnoff. The attack on women in general and what is happening on the right, kind of this narrative of attacking women, is not a good winning strategy, quite frankly. It really, really is not. It is turning off women voters who otherwise would be voting for Donald Trump. They like Donald Trump's policies. They don't like Biden. They want to vote for Donald Trump. But these types of comments that are being made towards an entire gender of the country and saying, those of you who don't have kids, a lot of those women will just say, you know what? You just lost my vote. I don't care what you think. I'm offended. And if I'm offended, I'm not voting for your policies when your policies clearly don't have me in mind. You clearly don't think I'm a human being or that I deserve a say in this country. And so that sort of backlash, I mean, this is just a basket of deplorables style comment that really Vance is going to have to be defending. I think he did a reasonable job on Megyn Kelly's show trying to defend his past comments. I do think he's right in that, yes, if you have children, then you have a bit, maybe mentally you have a bit more of a feeling of a stake in the future development of the country because you worry about what's going to happen to your great-great-grandkids. Obviously, if you don't have kids, that's not the exact concern. You can still have concerns. Like many of us, like myself, I am surrounded with an entire clan of nieces and nephews who I'm very close to and take very good care of. But that's, and so of course, many of us still care about young people in our lives who we are related to, who we love, who we want to see flourish. We want to see their children flourish. And we have those feelings. So it's just an odd thing for him to be talking about. Whether or not the Democratic Party is no longer family focused. I think there is something to Democrats maybe not focusing on families as much as they should, right? They're focusing on very strange things. It's not good for the Democratic Party to be constantly focusing on all of these non-gendered people, right? Well, you don't have to be, if you're a man and you don't want to be a man, you don't have to be a man. I mean, they're focusing on very strange things rather than the nuclear family, which I think is.
Okay, this is where I'm getting a little lost with Kim Iversen. I know where she's getting around on that issue. And it's okay for you to say that the nuclear family is fine. I'm not arguing about that. And you can make an argument that like a same-sex couple having adopted kids, in the same way that a heterosexual family, nuclear family would be. I consider it equal, and I still would call that a nuclear family. And some people may not, but that's fine and dandy and everything. But you don't really have to go into the culture war narrative about the non-genders and all of that sort of situation, because that kind of reaches into the transphobia, which really, this is exactly the thing that the right wants to talk about. This is the stuff that really gets them going. So just don't feed into that. Really, that's just my word of advice, Kim. You're smarter than I am, 100% smarter than I am, but you sort of lost the plot there on that one. But I just wanted to say that. But I'll let you continue.
Is the backbone of a healthy society. And the Democrats have lost that plot. They have lost the plot of a strong nuclear family, a home with a mom and a dad. Maybe that can look a little bit different, and there are examples of that looking different, but it's still a stable, steady home where children are raised and loved in a stable environment with married parents. And that is something that Democrats maybe have somewhat lost the plot on a little bit. But to say that Democrats don't care about children or that they don't care about families, it is Democrats after all, and here I am being forced to defend them. It is Democrats after all who want to feed children in schools. It's Republicans who don't want to offer free meals to kids, who are showing up to class hungry. They're not performing well because they come from poverty. It's Republicans who want to rip away those resources for those mothers, who want to say.
And don't forget, it is red states. They're bringing back child labor. Let's not forget that. You didn't mention that last night.
Hey, we're not going to give you it's the narrative of you keep having children and you're only having all these children so you can get welfare. Well, which is it, guys? Are they having children and because they only want to collect welfare, and so they should stop having children so that they don't collect welfare? Or maybe you just don't want to give them welfare and you just want to starve their kids? Or are you wanting to promote people having children and you want to support that and you want to give out those incentives? In other countries that are actually trying to incentivize women and men having children, they do give welfare, essentially, if you want to call it that. They call them incentivize, it's incentives. They give payments to couples who have children. They want them to have children. Their populations are dwindling. They don't want to have to import the next generation of population into their borders. They want their people having babies and preserving their culture and preserving their way of life and preserving their economies. So I think that I think it's great to focus on families. I'm a big believer in a stable family. I do think that stable families, in particular fathers in a home, make or break a society. It starts at the home, and then it goes into the community, and then that goes into our greater society. And that has been lost on Democrats. They should bring back that message that they care about family. They want to promote family values, that family values are a good thing and a strong thing for this country. There is a direct correlation, for example, between poverty levels and education levels and success levels. There is a direct correlation, and it is direct between those who come from less divorce and stable families and those who do not. Asian communities have less divorce. They have stable families. They have higher education rates for their kids, lower poverty rates, higher success rates. And it goes on a trajectory like that. The more divorce a group has, the less stable they are, the less educated, the less successful. So,
yeah, but you cannot sit there and ban divorce or no-fault divorce and all that. And I'm not saying that's what you're for, but I hear some people out there, like, what's the name of that guy? Steven Crowder is against no-fault divorce and all that. And, and the thing about it is that some situations, a divorce is going to be necessary. And it's always a tragedy when a divorce is taking place. My grandmother died in 2018. She's been divorced since the year 1954. And she went on just a few years before she died, worried about what people think about her being divorced. I mean, and not through her fault, not going into details, even though she's been dead for 6 years. But the point I'm trying to make is that the whole idea of going after divorcees, I don't know if that's helpful either, because there are some cases if you keep a couple together, that's also not going to be healthy for the children if one of the spouses is abusive, either to the other spouse or abusive to the kids or what have you. So there is that. And I know that you probably know that, Kim. So I'm not trying to act like I have an angle that you don't have.
So it's part of our we should want to promote families. We should want to promote family values. I don't think the smart way to go about that is by telling women who are childless that they are worthless in society, that they're a bunch of sociopaths, selfish sociopaths that only care about themselves. I'm not sure if that's exactly a good look. Whether or not Donald Trump is going to replace JD Vance, I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, anything could happen. This has already been a very weird election. Anything could happen. I don't think he's going to.
This election is weird. 2020 was weird. 2016 was weird. It was weird. The last normal election was the year 2012.
To replace JD Vance over this. I do think Chuck Schumer has a point in that Donald Trump kind of likes when somebody else shuts up. That's why he liked Mike Pence. What did Mike Pence ever say? Have you ever even heard the guy speak? I mean, most of us can't even remember a single thing the guy said. Donald Trump likes that. He likes the guy that just kind of stays in the background. But here's the thing. They're going after JD Vance. Here's the story from the Hill. Republican senators divided over Trump sticking with Vance. Republican lawmakers are divided over whether former President Trump should be ditching his running mate, Senator JD Vance of Ohio, who became a magnet for controversy and negative press coverage since Trump tapped him for the role earlier this month. I almost said trapped him for the role. Freudian slip. Some Republican senators think Trump should have picked a woman or a person of color to help broaden his appeal beyond his hardcore base of supporters. Several wondered if Trump ignored his professional political advisors and instead listened to his son, Donald Trump Jr., and conservative media celebrity Tucker Carlson and picking Vance. So you got Republicans are even saying, we don't even like Vance. I'll tell you what, has Vance said some stupid things? Sure. Is this going to turn into a Sarah Palin? Probably not. He's probably not going to go that far. He's going to have to excuse a lot of these old cat lady.
I hate to say it. Probably Sarah Palin's a better person than JD Vance. I hate saying that because I didn't care for Sarah Palin.
Comments that he's made. He's going to have to backpedal them a bit, as he's doing. Maybe he's even changed his mind. He's still a young guy, so he's kind of, young people are dumb. Like maybe he's grown up a bit and maybe seen the light a little. Because there's certainly nothing about having children that suddenly turn you into a good person. And everybody watching the show right now who's had a shitty parent can say that. There's nothing inherent about suddenly you had kids and now you're good. Nope. Lots of people are in therapy. There's an entire therapy industry because of bad parents. So, but Donald Trump probably doesn't like the fact that JD Vance is taking the spotlight. At the same time, a lot of this press is the establishment. They would love nothing more than for Donald Trump to not survive the next assassination attempt and for him to be replaced with their establishment pick. And JD Vance is just not that guy. JD Vance is more of a copy now of Trump, and they don't like that. So they're going after Vance, just like they're going after Trump. They want to get rid of him. They want him to replace him with an establishment guy. And Trump is probably aware of this. And hopefully he's aware of their tactics and just not going to fall for it. As much as
JD Vance is more establishment than he's trying to give himself out to be. He's just incompetent.
Maybe, I don't agree with some of JD's stances. I think this is a guy that's he's got an interesting background that's maybe I think he himself can speak more about the value of families than many people. He has had a very difficult upbringing, and he's had many character flaws, I think, that have developed from him not having a stable family environment or a stable father figure.
So JD Vance goes and fuck a couch.
That's concerning to me, to be honest. You don't grow out of that. And his comments, I think, reflect that. But, I'd love to hear from you. That's it for tonight's show, guys. So email me, Kim@KimIversen.com. Tell me what you think. Hey, guys, this was just a clip of a longer show.
Anyway, I decided to share that because I thought that was an interesting commentary. As I said, agree with her, disagree with her. I do like listening to Kim Iversen. So, and I wanted to share my little weird take on what she has to say too. So, here I see y'all on the chat line. I'll give y'all a little shout out, and then I am going to have to be sent on my merry way to work and all that good stuff. So let me start at the beginning. Yes, I am preparing my chat entrance. That's correct. How are you doing, Miguel? I'm doing okay. See here, we got hola, Warren. How are you doing? I was listening to your show, but I was just taking care of some crap at the house too. So there is that. Let's see here. Let's see. Miguel says Trump should have gone with John Jr. and people would still support him. Yeah. Well, I just think his kids are morons. So his two sons. Ola Dirtbag says, Johnny Ringo, how are you doing today? Let's see here. Yeah, W was always awful. How are you doing, Snipe Hunter? How are you doing today? Anything left? Dem Corp is a threat to them. Yep. Let's see. Romney Care, more like Romney Care. Yep. Sex with a couch, is that a consider SX3? Sex, is that considered sex? Oh, I got it. Yes. All right. Oh, why cushion shame? I don't know. Well, yeah, it teaches their own, you know. It's certainly a victimless crime. Let's see. When did couch surfing turn into couch fucking? That's correct. That's true. The bigger the cushion, the sweeter the push. That's funny. That's funny. All right. Let's see. My plushie. Where do I go? I go where she goes. Yeah, but I never treated my plushie the way Vance treated treated the couch. Isn't that right? Shoe on head. Yeah. Yes, this is going to be a collector's item one day. My shoe on head plushie. I spent $25 on a shoe on head plushie back in 2020. Yes, I'm probably the only person in North Carolina that owns one. Oh my. Let's see here. Nobody in the duopoly has a legitimate family values as long as they support and condone genocide. Very good. Absolutely. JD Vance's best hope is to become the next Kamala Harris installed candidate. Well, yeah, I mean, he's pretty generic and just pretty weak sauce in a lot of ways. Vance, the sociopath, assumes sociopathy stops when you have kids. Yeah, I mean, who the hell is he to tell people what they can and can't do with their lives? You know. Let's see, Andrew Dreyer, how are you doing today? It's been a while since I've seen you, Andrew. So I guess abusive, negligent parents aren't a thing. Yeah, cue the George Carlin clip. Let's see, let me do this here. Make sure I make sure nobody gets left out. I can't support universal basic income. Rather see universal basic services. I rather see universal basic services too, but since they were talking about universal basic income, I have a feeling that will become a thing before universal basic services. And if that was the option, and ideally, I think we could do both if we really wanted to. But that's where I stand on that. Yeah. Well, UBI could work if it's done correctly. And you can't get rid of welfare and just give somebody a check. But if you have UBI, you'll have less people on welfare because most people would have an extra check and it would help them out and they will put it to use in a positive way. And it will actually put money into the economy. And it will encourage savings too. Yeah, I'm kind of okay with it with UBI. Let's see. I'm trying to scroll through here. Oh, hey, Desert Mantis, is Willie live on his part of the count, or is this part of the countdown? Oh, I did the countdown, the multiple countdowns a little while ago. All right. Hey, Earl, how are you doing? Earl, you doing okay? I am doing fine on my part. Okay, and so anyway, that's probably going to be it for me right now. Considering that I have to go to work in a little bit, so I just thought I'd go share that with you regarding JD Vance and being the idiot that he is, and as I said, I don't believe in the duopoly, but if Kamala Harris was smart, she would choose Tim Poultz as her running mate because he would destroy JD Vance on the debate stage, obviously, and she needs an attack dog. But I have a feeling that she's going to end up choosing Josh Shapiro of Pennsylvania. Not exactly the best choice, but that's who I think she'll end up choosing. So anyway, if you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Oh, let me make an announcement real quick. Bragless was supposed to be on last night. There was problems with the power lines in California where Jimmy lives in San Bernardino. And so we decided to delay it another week. So that's what we're going to do. So it will be on knock on wood, next Tuesday. So we do apologize for not having the show on last night. We had every intention of having the show on, but things do happen. And I told her, don't feel bad. I was a little tired. I went to bed kind of late in the morning, so I needed to get a little extra sleep. Plus, I had to work last night. I'm usually off on Tuesday, so it was kind of for the best anyway. So next Tuesday we'll work even better. So anyway, let me go do my final announcement, and I'll let y'all go. If you like what you heard, please press like and comment. Comment any way you disagree with what I have to say. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As the First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Reject corporate media. Subscribe to the Willie Bragg Show. And remember to free and pardon Ed Snowden. Fully pardon Julian Assange because he's freed. He needs to also be pardoned. Free Palestine. Free healthcare for all. And, of course, free speech absolutism to be guaranteed to all. Take care. I will see y'all hopefully on Friday evening. And that is my plan, by the way. I've been trying to work on having my show scheduled on a regular basis. So this looks like it will be the schedule Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays around 7:30. That's what I'm working on. And since I get it that way, I will make it be my official schedule. So that is my tentative schedule right now. I am about ready to leave. I will talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.